remember? Cool. So, you guys excited?
Yeah.
Let's not waste any more time. Let's get them out here. Why don't we give a big Tampa Bay Comic-Con welcome to Linda Larkin and Paige O'Hara! Linda Larkin! Paige O'Hara!
Yeah.
Good to see you.
Cool. All right. Thank you so
Thanks
much.
for coming. Oh, yeah.
It's a great crowd for an afternoon. Y'all had a great first day?
These working? There we
It's
go.
looking good.
Can you hear us okay?
Yeah.
We're gonna share.
Okay, so just a couple ground rules. We've got mics here for answering questions. We're going to do a little bit of Q&A, and then we're going to pitch out to you guys to ask questions. So if you have questions, go ahead and line up at the microphone. You get to that one.
Fantastic.
Cool, sounds good. So with voice actors, I often like to start by asking, how did you get into voice acting? How did you go, I know, Paige, you had a Broadway career.
You know, I'm really not a voice actor. I just happened to become one.
You did television before that, so how did you do that?
Linda was a film star. Well, for me, it was working on Broadway. I went to New York when I was 17, and I was working on Broadway. I had been for, I was in my early 30s when I did Beauty and the Beast, so I was already pretty established in the theater world. And Howard Ashman was a huge fan of Jerome Kern, and I'd starred in 3 shows at Carnegie Hall of the Jerome Kern what they called the early days, before Showa. We're talking turn of the century. And he'd come to see me in those. I think that helped a little bit. But it was still competition, 500 actresses.
Did your singing ability, was that part of it?
The singing was definitely crucial, and I didn't know until really a couple of years ago. Don Hahn told me, we were doing an event together, and he said, I was really having stage fright to sing at that event with them, and he said, we love your voice, we love your singing, it was your acting that got you the part. And I was like, yes! And he said, just act when you sing, and that particular event, he said, when you haven't been singing and practicing, I've been painting every day and hadn't been singing for like 2 years, and I had to get up and he just said, act it. I was like, acting, that's what I always said, and it turned out great, so I think I'm going to start singing again. We'll see.
Sometimes she'll surprise us. I love her voice so much.
She's like my baby sister.
I know, we're just like so lucky to have these Comic-Cons to spend time together because we always worked alone, all of us. I mean, we worked with the other actors in our films, thanks to the cast of Beauty and the Beast, but because before they started working together with the other actors, everybody just worked solo. And when I did Aladdin, we were able to do all of our scenes with every actor that we're in the scenes with, which is a question I get a lot because people are like,
when you were with Robin Williams too,
right? Thanks to Paige and her cast, I got to work with Robin.
You actually one of my questions, yes.
Robbie and I requested to record together, and that hadn't been done at that point because it's very time consuming. If you have feeds that go over each other, it takes a lot of time to get it clean. But it made us more spontaneous. It made our relationship grow as Belle and Beast so much quicker. The ad-libbing, the whole scene that's in that one version of Human Again. I don't know if you guys have seen the one version of Beauty and the Beast that has that whole sequence, but the Romeo and Juliet scene we made up, it was like reading him, teaching him how to read. We kind of ad-libbed that whole scene.
It seems like it would be very difficult to just be alone in the studio with no one to react off of and to react back to.
It is. It's really hard.
It can be, but also there's something, I like doing both because when you're by yourself, you're just like you and your imagination, and you can really fall into that world so quickly. And it's really a beautiful thing about working in animation. you don't have the distractions of a crew and equipment and lights and waiting for things. It's like you're in there, you're working from the minute you get there, and
Baseball cap, no makeup, doesn't matter.
I would always I would wear something that made me feel Jasmine-y. Like I would just go into the studio wearing something that
You're a
made me
method
feel-
actress.
Yeah, I guess you are. I was a little bit like that, but I didn't wear makeup when I went in. I remember one day they were like, "Okay, we're gonna do a photo shoot." I was like, "Wait, what?" I thought it was just my voice, and then I was like, "Oh, I have some lipstick," and I literally put lipstick on, and I still see that photo 27 years later. It's like
And mine was the opposite.
lipstick.
I found out I was having a photo shoot and my mother talked me into doing pageant hair. Like teased pageant hair. And when I recorded the movie, I had just straight, brownish red hair, and I had the string in the eye, which is what they took from. And the day that they record me, it's like all perfectly curled, and I look at that and I go, why did I let my mother talk me into this? It's like nothing to do with the way I really looked.
So funny, the opposite. I mean, now they probably have hair and makeup there.
Well, yeah, we have stylists now,
That's
don't we?
right.
A stylist.
We had a stylist at D23. We were like, oh,
How cool is that?
this is for us. It's great.
And Jodie Benson is doing stuff for Little Mermaid re-release is coming out on the 30th, and I was with her a few weeks ago in New York, and I'm the artist for the cover of it, and the back of it, so it's kind of cool. I'm painting.
Did you guys know that? That Paige painted the cover for the Little Mermaid?
No, I've been with Disney Art now for a while, 10 years. But it was really fun. We had Jodie, and we had Judy Kuhn, Donna Murphy, and Lilius White, and Alan Menken, and we all were ad-libbing around the piano and talking. It's all going to be on the feature, the bonus feature. So it was really cool.
So, all of a sudden, you're Disney princesses. I mean, what is that like? You're joining, at that point, it was a really small crowd of Cinderella and Snow White to be, adding to that. And then it was also a point where I think Disney, was kind of in sort of what they call the Disney Renaissance, that period where they were really starting to come back, after a bit of a lull with their animation. And your two movies were a very large part of it.
And Little Mermaid.
And Little Mermaid and Lion King were all
And Lion King, and we have to thank Howard Ashman for that.
Yeah.
Because Howard is amazing. He's listening. It was dead. Disney animation, all of it, not just Disney, Paramount, all of them were dead. And then he and Alan Menken literally pleaded with Disney to let them do Little Mermaid. And Howard said, "I'm writing you a check. I'll pay for half the budget." I mean, he actually put his own money into it. And it was very low budget, very quick and stuff. And then if that hadn't happened, the last 30 years of all these incredible animated movies we love so much may never have happened. And so, yeah, we thank Howard. And,
Well, I think you two should be.
I think with the animated characters, like Jasmine and Belle, we have the animators, Marquette and Linda Wolverton and Rice, and you had...
And I have a singer for my character as well,
Right.
so I always feel like I get to make an important contribution to this character, but I'm only one piece of everything that comes together.
But you
to
bring the
create
heart.
her.
You bring the heart.
Yeah, the heart is a big part of it, and
Yes.
I do get to bring that as actresses, that's
I
what
can't remember, Marquette, did he animate Jasmine? He did. So the
Marquette
same
did Jasmine,
animator
too.
did Belle and Jasmine.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah.
Those two movies too. It seemed to like it was a tip where that Disney was finally starting to start to address diversity a little bit more and start to be a little bit more inclusive. You finally had. I mean, Jasmine was the first non-white Disney princess.
That's right.
And Belle was. They were trying to make some commentary and at least attempt to get some feminist ideas in there, right? What is Gaston if not like a caricature of toxic masculinity?
Oh no, she was definitely a feminist. She was not looking for a man. She loved books and wanted adventure, and she was actually the first brown-eyed, brown-haired princess. The male was, yes, Snow White had black hair and brown eyes. And then they just went to the blonde, blue-eyed thing for so many years. And you would not believe the amount of mail I got from girls saying, she looks like me. It's so cool. You know? And I actually was a tiny part of it, but the initial drawings of Belle were so perfect that it was off-putting. She looked like, almost like perfect Angelina Jolie at 16. I mean, to the point that you just look at her and kind of go, oh my gosh, that's like so spectacular and intimidatingly beautiful. And then they kind of said, let's make her just a little more natural beauty, you know, let's take away the frilly little curly thing she had in her hair, and she had the chiseled features, and she just became more identifiable. And I'm so glad they did that. It was interesting. We talked about it a lot, actually, after I got cast, because I walked in, talk about intimidating. I saw Angelina Jolie's picture on the bell wall. And there was like Liz Taylor, Audrey Hepburn, Natalie Wood, all these people, and then my little funny picture on the front. I'm like, somehow this doesn't fit in here. And that was the day that they told me, well, we're thinking about changing her up a little bit. And I was like, yes.
That's very good. And that's sort of what I was wondering, how aware of you were you? I mean, that this was kind of going on, that Disney was trying to, even if, you know, looking back today, and a little somewhat clumsy attempts to try and at least, you know, be a little bit more diverse and a little bit, at least start to address issues of gender and race.
You know, I think that Disney's always been amazing at telling great stories, and these were just new stories that, I mean, it wasn't a new story, Aladdin, it's a very old story, but, you know, Disney was retelling this wonderful, magical story. So I don't really think their agenda was anything but telling great stories, wherever the stories came from. And they have successfully done that, and they continue to create and access these new worlds that, you know, they're representing in animation, which is
True.
great.
And with Beauty and the Beast, though, Walt wanted it done so long time ago. But the real story, all they do is go to dinner. It's like there's nothing else that they do. And they couldn't figure out how to make it interesting. And then Howard and all these guys came up with the Chip and the Lumiere and Cogsworth and Mrs. Potts and all these incredible ideas to make it exciting, and the twists and turns. And I think Walt was smiling on that one.
Well, intentionally not. I think that they did a great job of, as you said, making the characters a little bit more relatable, maybe.
Yeah.
To more people.
It was very, like Paige was saying, the casting process was so intimidating. The first casting session, for me, it was just the casting director, a microphone, and me in a room. Easy. I was like, this is great, just do what you do. And then I went away, I didn't hear anything for a month, and I was like, oh, I guess I didn't get that job. And then they were like, oh, they want you to come back. And then there were a few more people there. And then I saw like some other, like, more actresses and stuff, and I was like, oh, okay, wow. And then I had to go back again, and the number of actresses kept shrinking, and the number of executives kept growing, and I was like,
That's what happens.
oh boy, the last audition, it was just me auditioning, and like 30 people from the studio.
And I didn't know Michael Meisner even came to the final callbacks.
Yeah.
Jeffrey Katzenberg.
The president and CEO of the company, right there in front of us. They're like, go, do your thing.
Did they close their eyes sometimes when you were reading?
Yes.
They did with me too. Sometimes they'd look at me, but then they'd close their eyes as I'm singing the song or doing the scene, and then they'd open them up again. And it's weird. It's cool.
And it's something to this day when somebody says, and I think some people here today have asked me to do the voice at my table, and I'm like, close your eyes.
There you go.
And
Ready?
you just fall right into that world.
It's so true. Well, it's your voice just like Bella's my voice.
Right.
Only mine was I just softened it up, you know, like, Gaston, you're positively primeval. And through the movie, how many times, this is the running joke at Disney, I said, how many times are you going to have me say the word Papa? Papa, are you here? Papa. I think I must have said Papa over 5,000 times.
I had to say father.
Father.
Oh, father.
Yeah. We're still trying to figure out why so many of the princesses don't have moms. moms.
I know.
Do you guys have an answer for that? Why they only have papas and they don't have mamas?
Does somebody know the answer? Your hand is up. Do you know the answer? Come up to the microphone.
Come on up.
Yeah. As a matter of fact, you can get that
I've
line
been wanting that
started.
question answered for 28 years.
I know. Do you really know?
Yeah, I would love to know, because people have remarked on that.
Yeah.
You know,
I think, I've been given the answer, it gives drama.
This is just an idea that in a lot of the original Grimm's fairy tales, there would be an evil mother, or the father figure would be the one to support the main protagonist if she was female, or any protagonist at all, really. And then, of course, the stepmothers to make it more approachable for kids. But I think the reason that in like the Renaissance era there weren't a lot of evil mothers is because they were exploring new things. And they wanted to have like kind of an idea of like, let's change it up, because Snow White had the Wicked Queen, Sleeping Beauty, Cinderella, and Sleeping Beauty had like Maleficent, of course. And I think they wanted to try something new. Something
That's
different.
a really good theory. Do you have a theory too?
Yeah.
Tell us. That's
We're making a nice segue here, don't you think?
Yeah.
Very smooth.
I've heard online that supposedly the reason a lot of Disney princesses did not have mothers was because Walt's mother actually died when he was young. And then he grew up without his mother.
That Walt's mother died when he was young.
That's
so
true.
That
That's very true.
Something he was playing out from his personal
You're
life.
absolutely right.
Wow, that's really interesting. And I think that, it does have a strong effect on a person. Your parents are everything, and compared to
So true.
missing that definitely changes someone's life. Aladdin originally had parents in the first script that I read, and then and that's why Proud of Your Boy was in the original movie.
That's right.
It was cut from the movie. Such a beautiful song. I don't know if you guys have heard Proud of Your Boy. Have you heard it? Because it's in the Broadway show now.
Right.
They found a way to bring it back, but they had to give Aladdin parents in the Broadway show, and Jasmine in the Broadway show got friends. She didn't have friends.
She got friends.
She got friends in the Broadway show.
You got a friend in me.
So I know we're getting a lot of questions about the Jasmine Bell. So let me take an opportunity to ask you to tell us about your favorite projects that you've worked on that are not Jasmine and Bell.
Woohoo, Wreck-It Ralph 2! We're having so much fun. The one that you probably saw the trailer, obviously, that came out this past year. Well, it was so popular, they added a new scene for the princesses. I was in the studio just 5 weeks ago, recording this new scene. And, two, right?
Yeah,
It's like
me
5
too.
weeks, so they're animating quickly. But it's fantastic. I'm not going to give it away, but they are like rocking in this movie. It's really fun.
It's really great. It's fun to have all the princesses existing in the same world. And we get to spend more time together because we got to go to D23 and launch the Wreck-It Ralph.
Launch it, and we do the
2.
publicity, and we get to hang out.
Yes.
It's great stuff.
Because there are still very few of us. You're right, when we started this 27, 28 years ago, there were 5 princesses, now there's like 12. It's not that many. So it was really cool when we got to be
Yeah.
on stage. 11 of us were on stage.
It was
I think
fun.
maybe there were 2 or 3 people.
And I was the oldest, and Ali E is the youngest.
Ali.
And Ali E is the cutest thing you've ever seen.
So amazing.
She is smart as a whip. She's so poised. I met her at the Annie Awards, and we're going to have the privilege of presenting Best Animated Feature, the final award. And we were looking at, they kept changing our script. I mean, every 10 minutes, and up until like 2 minutes before we went out. Oh, forget all the lines you just learned. Here's a new script. I said, just put it on the prompter. She said, prompter? I don't have to memorize it. No, just look at it. She was perfection. She goes out, not only is she looking at the prompter, she's cracking jokes about my age. And I'm cracking jokes about her age. And I was like, wow, this girl is a pro. And then if you saw her on the Oscars, I just have to chew her for a second.
Yes, when
When
she
she got hit in the head,
Did you guys see that?
while she was singing,
And
and
she
it happened in the rehearsal. And they happened to be live as well. How did they not fix that in rehearsal? And she kept her incredible sense of humor about the whole thing. I don't think I could have. I think I would have said, cut! Let's do this over. No, I wouldn't do that. but she's
She's
amazing.
impressive. We had a backstage photo, and we were all like, "Where do we stand? What do we do?" Yeah, and Ali'i said, "Why don't we stand the way they had us placed on stage?" And we were all like, "Great."
In order of the movies.
Yeah.
In order of, the oldest movie to the current movie.
And we're like, the 16-year-old is figuring this thing out. The rest of us are like, we don't know where to stand. We're just like, I got this.
Right, so I just had to choose her phrase for a second.
Yeah. Are there Moana fans in this audience?
We're gonna talk to her and get her to one of these conventions. I finally convinced Jodie Benson a year ago to start doing these, and she came. So Jodie's doing now with us.
And I've just convinced Scott Weingart to do
You
one.
did?
Yes, he's doing one in, I don't know if I'm allowed to say, but this year. Somewhere that I'm gonna be this year, Scott's gonna be too, so figure it out.
That's right, you can say where it is, that's okay.
It's San Antonio. So anybody gonna be in San Antonio?
Come on over,
Maybe
Robbie
now.
Benson's gonna be there too.
It's gonna be
And Jodie Benson.
Yes.
Yeah.
The Bensons are gonna be there. Henry Benson.
Well, why don't we start getting some questions from the audience? If you guys want to start running.
And while you're getting in line, I meant to say this before, would you really want to learn about the whole renaissance of animation and how it all really went from the old days to the new days, you need to rent a documentary by Don Juan called Waking Sleeping Beauty. It's a brilliant documentary, and it's so educating. I mean, I thought I knew a lot about the whole segue, and there were so many things I learned by seeing it. So check it out if you can.
Hi, 2 questions for Jodie. Hi.
For Jodie, but she's not here.
One, if they ever did a Beauty and the Beast revival, do you think you'd ever want to be involved in any capacity?
Oh, I'm having trouble understanding that microphone.
That microphone's distorting a little bit.
I can lower my voice too.
That's good.
If they ever did the Beauty and the Beast revival, would you want to be involved?
Survival?
Revival.
Oh, the Broadway revival? You want to know that story?
Oh, I meant if you did it, if they did it, would you want to be involved?
If they did a revival, would you want to be
A
involved?
revival?
Yeah.
No. I didn't want to do the original one. I was in my late 30s, and I know the New York critics, I'd been on Broadway, they would have killed me playing an 18-year-old, 21-year-old. But actually, no, I could have done it, but I felt like it was not my part at that time. I think it was Susan Egan's turn. And my husband played the Beast on Broadway, so that was really kind of fun to go see my husband play the Beast, you know?
And then, in your theatrical pursuits, did anybody say anything, one piece of advice that really just stuck with you and helped shape you as a performer, anything in particular?
A piece of advice that someone
Going into the business. Oh, well, you know, Angela Lansbury always said, if you want to be in theater, you need to just keep, get into every production you can. If you're in a town that does community theater, do the community theater and study. And you got to make sure you get the right teachers. Especially if it's a vocal teacher, well, and acting as well. You got to make sure you have someone that knows their technique and just get better and better. And nowadays, you guys have social media. I mean, you have things that we could never do. You can YouTube yourself doing auditions and singing songs and get them out there.
Yeah.
You can send them to casting people at Disney. They cast voices that way. It's amazing.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, I think we're working on both. Maybe this microphone's better.
Yes, what do you think about the new
It's the
Latin
It's the mic.
movie?
You know what? Don't even use the mic. I think we can hear you better.
Go ahead.
Oh, yeah, so what do you think about the new Latin movie that,
New live action.
Okay. Oh, yes. So
and
I
Will
don't
Smith
know. I
as
don't know any more than you know. I'm not part of it at all, but I'm so excited to see it. I love when there's something, a new incarnation of this story, because I feel like it brings the whole original movie back into people's minds. So I'm excited to see it. I'm really excited to see how they do the magic carpet ride, how they do the animals. I can't wait to see what they do with it.
And Guy Ritchie's directing.
Right.
Guy Ritchie is directing. He's a very
Yeah.
talented man.
Let me do a follow-up on that. Did you see the live action Beauty and the Beast? Of course. What did you think with Emma?
Emma, of course, I was there opening night in Hollywood, and it was crazy. And You know, it took us like an hour just to get through the security, just to get in to go. And I was like, I was a VIP. It was like, really? Okay. But it was really fun. We got in, and I saw Emma about from here to where you're sitting, and she went, "Hey! Oh my God!" And she came over and gave me this big hug and kiss, and I just felt like so loved and so sweet. I hugged her, and we hung out, and she brought me over for the group picture with the cast, and it really made me feel good, because I remember saying, oh, she doesn't really, don't want to have anything to do with us, they're kind of intimidated. Not at all true. She told me that she studied the movie every day, and also Dan Stevens, he and Robbie Benson, mutual admiration as well, so it was really cool to see it. It's very different, you know, I mean, it's much darker and more of an adult movie, but very good, you know, and it's not mine, but it's wonderful.
Yeah, I'm partial to the
I'm partial.
animated version as well.
I'm partial, right?
Yes.
Hi. So, when you did Paige, when you did Human Again, did they record that originally, or did you have to come back and when they did Human Again for the re-release?
Right.
Did everyone have to come back?
Yes, we did.
And sing it again? Like, was that crazy?
Why though? I don't.
Yes, when we did Human Again, yes, it was later.
Right.
And I was so excited they put it in, because you know, it was Howard Ashman's favorite song. And when he found out it was going to be cut, he was brokenhearted. And so we came back, and we said at one point we're going to be teaching him to read and just play with it. And we kind of played with the Camelot story a little bit, and I said, let me just try something, and I started talking about Romeo and Juliet, which is partial to, you know, my heart, because I played Juliet when I was 17. And Robbie just went with it, but yeah, it was a reunion. It was really cool. Yeah. Thank you.
What did you guys what made you guys want to start the movie?
What made us want to be in the movie? Is that what you're asking? Yeah. Well, for me, I loved Disney. When I was your age, and I didn't live anywhere near Disneyland or Disney World. I lived in northern Minnesota, so it was me in my room with my read-along storybooks and my imagination, and I loved everything Disney. And when I had an audition for a Disney movie on the Disney lot in California, I was like, yes, I just wanted to be a part of anything that they were doing. I even had tried to be in one of the live shows in the park. I had auditioned for one of the live shows like a couple of years before that. So I wanted to just work for them somehow. And then I got really a good job.
And for me, it was Mary Poppins. It was my first movie as a child with my grandmother. It's still my favorite film of all time. And I was very fortunate. I replaced Julie Andrews when she got sick in The King and I at the Hollywood Bowl as Anna, and that was really tough. I had to learn the part in 4 days. But Lea Salonga was in it. Richard White, who's Gaston, played the King, and Peebo Bryson. It was an amazing, amazing evening. And then a year and a half later, we're doing an event in Disney World, and my husband was like laughing at me. I didn't have the nerve to go up and say hi and introduce myself. I was so starstruck. And she ended up coming over to me and she said, Paige, would you like to hang out for the weekend? I'm here by myself. I'm like, yes, okay. So I got to hang out with Julie Andrews for the weekend. Oh my God, it was so cool.
Did you guys go on Tower of Terror together?
No, she's like me. She doesn't like the roller coasters. So we did a lot more talking than anything else. And wow, she is the royalty that we all think she is. She is that.
Scott and I got to meet her in 2015. We were doing a talk show for the re-release of Aladdin, and Julie Andrews was there for a different thing. She was doing a cooking thing or something, a children's book. I can't remember.
Her children's books.
The children's book.
Yeah.
And they were doing a different segment, but we were like, can we meet her? And they arranged it backstage, and it was so amazing. It was great.
Mary Poppins, y'all.
Yes.
Hi. when Disney started making those TV shows, both the Disney Beauty and the Beast and Aladdin, do you guys feel like it worked or it would not work? Like,
Are you asking about the TV shows, the sequels?
yes.
And tell me the question again. Don't use.
Are you talking about like the Saturday morning stuff?
Yes.
Yeah.
Do
Okay.
you guys feel like it would work or it would not work with the story, the characters?
I don't watch them, so I don't know. What do you guys feel about them? Do you like them? Do you like the Saturday morning stuff? I know Jodie Benson loves doing it. I know that. She says she enjoys it, but she full-time vocal artist at home. I mean, she has her own recording studio there. This is what she does. She's now become a vocal, voice actress. So. But she loves it. Do you like them?
Aladdin is more memorable because there was more characters and more stuff.
Right.
Then I think Beauty and the Beast has more like the two or three movies, including the Christmas special that people remember.
Yeah, they had the sequels that they released direct to video, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, which is originally the Aladdin cartoon series. The first 4 episodes of the Aladdin cartoon series ended up becoming The Return of Jafar. So it was.
Oh wow, I didn't know that.
Yeah, so they hadn't really intended to do sequels at that point, and it worked so well that they ended up going back and doing sequels for other animated features.
That's cool.
So, and then we did not have Robin, and he was not doing the animated TV series, so it was
Dan.
Homer Simpson.
He did a good job.
He did a great job, but he was, not doing the character for the cartoon series, but when we did a third sequel, the third one, that one Robin Williams came back for it. Because he was like, wait, I didn't know this was, I thought it was a cartoon series. If we're doing sequels, I'll do that. So he came back. Yeah, it was great.
Just real quick, so how much did you get to interact with Robin, and what was that like?
Oh man.
It was great. I got to work one day with Robin. We, had limited days to record, and I only have one scene with him in the movie and it's not even the genie as the genie, he's a bumblebee. So that was the only scene that Jasmine and the genie have dialogue together.
What a genius he was.
I know, such a genius and such a kind human being. So that for me, I knew he was a genius because I was a huge fan, but I didn't know the soul and beauty of him as a person until I met him in person. And
that's so cool.
It was great. I'll never forget him. No one will forget him.
No, never.
Hi. When you have to go back to record voices for your princesses, whether it be in Wreck-It Ralph 2 or just recently where you re-recorded a scene, is it difficult to get back into your characters, or do they come naturally to you?
For me, Belle was me. It was the closest thing to me in my whole career. I mean, I found it easier to actually step into a character that wasn't me, like Mystery of Eventrude on Broadway. I played Eventrude, a boy. Evita, nothing like Evita. These kind of characters are easier because you can hide behind them. What Howard and Kirk and Gary were saying when I first started recording, I started to try and make up this different voice and be different. And they said, wait, no, Ethel Merman, no. We want Paige, and this is who you are, and this is what we want. And so that was kind of, makes you feel a little vulnerable, So for me, and they didn't want me to raise my voice. They wanted her to sound like an old soul, as they put it, which I was. And Belle was actually technically the oldest princess of all of them. She was in her early 20s. So the others were in their teens. So actually, if you think about the story, she would have been considered by the townspeople as an old maid. And she could care less. And that's another really cool quality about Belle, huh? So, yeah.
Belle is my wife's favorite Disney princess for a lot of those reasons. Also the book, she's a librarian, so that's probably, she may be
And Linda Wolverton, who wrote Beauty and the Beast, and also Maleficent, which I wrote also. They're over in London doing Maleficent 2 right now. She's Belle as well. Linda is so much like Belle also. It's like crazy, we're all like this Queen Belle.
For me, they wanted my voice to be lower. So when I first started recording, my natural voice was a little higher pitched, and their idea for the character, I don't know if you'll know who this is, but you might, they wanted a young Lauren Bacall. So Lauren Bacall has a very different voice than me naturally.
Married to Humphrey Bogart. No, that's Katharine Hepburn, sorry.
Oh, well,
No, wrong person. Lauren Bacall was awesome though.
It's very like a low and very,
But you
know,
did it.
sensual voice, but they kind of departed from that original thought with me, but they also wanted to bring some of that into what I was doing.
But in certain emotions, you did lower it.
Yeah, absolutely.
It just kind of dropped in your
Yes,
emotions.
and I consciously lowered it for everything, and then in certain places it was easy. If I was mad, or if I was trying to seduce Jafar, like I would naturally go lower with the voice in those places. But now, 27 years later, it's like easy for me because my natural voice is exactly where I forced it to be when I first recorded. So it's easy for me to slip back into it now. And again, like Paige, it's just us. It's our voices. We weren't putting on something.
It's true. I mean, there was a time when I got replaced. I'm 62 now. In my early 50s, they have a new Belle that does the toys and everything. And at that time, I was going through menopause, which I don't know. You guys are too young. Mom was out there. And the hot flashes, and my voice did get lower. I was doing the show Menopause the Musical for 9 years in Vegas, and it did get lower. So I was shocked when they called and said, "Do you want to do Wreck-It Ralph 2?" Because I didn't think they would want my voice anymore. But lo and behold, as soon as I worked my way out of menopause, which is like 3 years now, my voice went back up to my normal sound. And when I recorded Wreck-It Ralph 2, they were thinking they're going to have to tweak me and everything. And I was so happy. The first day I went in, the director said, "You sound exactly like you did 28 years ago." Oh, like, oh, thank you. Oh my gosh. You don't have to tweak me. I don't want you to have to tweak me. He said, "We don't have to tweak you at all." He said, "You sound more like Belle than some of the other ones sound like their characters." So it just tells you menopause does change things. But it's only temporary.
Hi Paige, hi Linda. I'm actually like the biggest fan of you both.
I love your t-shirt.
Oh, thank you. But
Where's my phone? We got to text Jody. Where's it? Bring my phone. I'm going to text Jody Benson.
Perfect. But Beauty and the Beast and Aladdin are my all-time favorite movies of all time. But if you guys could voice any other Disney character, whether classic or modern, which character would you voice?
Oh, I know the answer.
Where's this one?
This is, which voice would you do other than your character, classic or modern? Oh, I haven't thought about the modern one.
The modern ones.
Oh, that's a twist.
I can tell you my favorite princess other than Belle, which is Mulan. She rocks. She is so cool. I also really love Tiana. Anika, man, you guys have got to meet this woman. She is unbelievable. She's so charismatic to be around. They had to like tone her down. I mean, they recorded her. She was so off the wall.
We had made legends together, the two of us, Anika, Noni Rose, Lea Salonga, and Jody. They made us Disney Legends in 2011. It was really
I'm texting
special.
Jody to see if she wants to say hi.
And then this year, last year when we were there for Wreck-It Ralph 2, I didn't know, but I was sitting next to Tiana's dad, because she was singing during the presentation. And at one point, I think Oprah was made a Disney legend last year. And the dad leans over to me and he goes, "You guys got in before Oprah." I was like, dude, he was so cute and funny. He was so proud of his daughter.
Did you guys get to keep your Disney Legend giant trophy?
Yes, mine's at my mom's house. I know.
When I first picked it up, I almost dropped it. It was so big.
It's really heavy.
I gotta get to wait weightlifting class.
Yeah.
Also, your rendition of Be Our Guest when you sang for that is amazing. If anyone's seen that, when she's in Be Our Guest and like through the roof.
Oh,
Fantastic.
thank you.
No,
Thank
really.
you so much.
Thank you.
Really,
I
guys,
appreciate
so
that.
much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi.
Hi, Cindy.
Hi, Paige. Disney princesses, as we've already talked about, have evolved tremendously from Someday My Prince Will Come. Where do you think Disney needs to take them next? What haven't they done that they should do to keep up with what's going on in this millennium and where women are headed?
You always ask the hard questions. You always do. I've known you 25
Sorry, I
years.
love
You
to
always
chat.
ask the hardest questions.
How do you guys know each other 25 years?
We don't. We don't. We met 3 years ago. She just thinks it's been 20. I've been a huge fan of Belle's for 25 years, but we've only met 3 years ago.
Oh,
You have, that's true. I did meet you then. You don't think I remember, but I do, because I never forget a face.
I'm sorry, but I know the first. Well,
Okay, we'll talk. We'll argue about it later. Anyway, I feel like I've known you for
Where should it
you're
go
so sweet.
next? Well, that is a
Where should it go next? I mean, do you guys have any ideas for? Do you? Yeah, you have an idea for that. You're a writer. I want to know what you think. Really, Cindy?
Well,
I love the way the Disney princesses have become more independent and more strong. I love that Belle rescued her prince. Like you said in another Q&A, Belle wasn't ever looking to get married. That wasn't her focus.
Right.
And I think those are more of the changes. Right now we're seeing a lot of very cutesy little things for little girls, you know, girls rule, dream big, princess. But I think we need to show them, not just give them cute little catchphrases, but show them in these stories of Belle and Mulan and that women do these things. We're not just told we can do it, but we do it. And I think it's good that they're drawing more stories, more different types of women. I read they're going to do a story from Africa with an African princess. And I think Disney needs to do more of that global story.
Global, absolutely. And you know, there is something, and I'm very prejudiced, but there's a girl named Jamie that's been a fan of mine forever, and she's sort of become like, I call her my Disney daughter. And she's 30 and she has cerebral palsy, and so she can't walk. And she always said, why can't they do a princess that's in a wheelchair? And I thought, what an amazing idea. And she wants to write children's books. And I said, I think you should write the story. And that might be something that would be very interesting. She's the most strong-willed person I've ever met.
I've seen her picture on your Facebook page.
You've seen her on my Facebook. This girl was literally in her wheelchair hit by a truck, dragged 60 feet, not only survived, she's like out there getting the laws changed in Las Vegas for wheelchairs and pedestrians. I mean, she's like amazing. But I think, yeah, thank you. I'm going to tell her you're a But I think a princess that has, you know, a disability would be a really cool thing.
Well,
do you like that idea?
I love that idea. I think that is incredible. And I like what you said too. I really, again, love that they're telling stories that bring me into a world that maybe I haven't experienced personally or know nothing about. So that, I think, is really an opportunity.
Yeah. I also what about if we did a current princess?
Yeah.
And made a female president of the United States.
I love that. Princess President.
We could do live action and let Julie Andrews be. I wouldn't mind.
Somebody else had this idea too to have like superhero princesses. Like,
oh, I like that idea. How about
that?
You guys like that? The superpowers?
Yes, like I would love. What would Jasmine's superpower be? Maybe flying.
Tame the tiger.
I mean, she has carpet for that, but I think like, the best superpower that I could have would be to speak every language, to be able to understand every.
Wouldn't that be amazing?
Such a great superpower. What would be yours?
Well, you know, it's kind of cool. I'm a huge NBA fan, people who know me, and I've loved LeBron since he was 13. But I've also loved Kobe Bryant, and I'm working with Kobe Bryant now. And he's producing animation. It's so amazing. But I didn't know this about him. He speaks 6 languages fluently. It's crazy how smart he is. And I actually told him when I met him, I said, I thought you were so mean when you were playing basketball. You were so mean on the court. And he laughed. He said, that's Black Mama. I had to be or I'd get killed.
I think this is a great opportunity too, while we're talking about language and communication, to thank our sign language interpreters. You guys are taking turns going back and forth. Yes, thank you both.
Oh, she's in recording.
Oh,
Jody sends her
Jody's
love.
writing
She's
back.
recording right now. Hi, everybody. She says.
Hi, Jody.
Hi. So I'm very excited to see the princess scene and groundbreaking internet. I think it really is. What was your reaction when you found out that you were going to come back to that and that it would be all of the princesses? And did you get to record any of that together?
We didn't record together. We all recorded separately. I think that one
We just
was
partied together afterwards.
Yeah, we got to really celebrate together. I know we were all excited, of course, to come back and be part of another feature film for Disney. Like, we continue to do stuff for Disney. Paige does art for them. I continue to do recording stuff for them. But I haven't been in another feature film for them for 25 years. So that was huge. I was super excited. And I loved Wreck-It Ralph, so I was really excited to be that franchise. But the best thing was when we got to see it all together for the first time backstage. The screen that they showed the audience, we could see the back of the screen. We could see the scene from the back of the screen.
It was crazy.
And we were all standing backstage ready to come out and surprise the audience. And we were seeing the scene for the first time, and our jaws were dropping backstage. We
It
were
was
all
so cool.
looking at each other, looking at this scene. We were like, this was better than we even imagined. So it's exciting.
The writing
It's
is
really fun.
incredibly funny, you guys.
Yeah.
You're going to really love it. They do kind of get crazy and wild, the princesses. They allow them to have great sense of humor and let their hair down and be a little crazy. And it's really, really charming, actually.
Thank you.
As Disney princesses, as soon as you guys get the job, you're sort of shot into stardom and you become like a role model for not just little girls, but little boys and everybody else. What's the most important thing that you guys have used your newfound stardom for?
Well, for me, I understood early on that that it was important how I conducted myself in my real life, and that was just something. I was a young actress living in New York City, but I was a Disney princess as well, and it was important to me to respect that brand and never have someone, you know, point to a picture of me when I was 25 years old doing something crazy, because I was aware that people would be looking at me and wanting me to represent certain conduct. So I've always had that knowledge, because I also looked to people when I was a young girl and sort of had expectations for how they would behave or not behave, and you know, I didn't want to ever disappoint anybody by being crazy. So that was something that defined for me a lot of stuff from early on.
It's true, but what's so incredible about having this ability is that, you know, these princesses will live on long after we're gone. And what's wonderful while we're around is to be able to utilize them for charity. Like I'm very partial to Make-A-Wish Foundation, and to be able to, can you imagine, I mean, just the Broadway actors, the little kids wouldn't want to meet just Paige as the actress, but meeting me as Belle, a little girl that just loves it, and she's fighting for cancer, and I get to meet her and you know, give her words and a hug and everything. It means the world to me, that God gave me this chance to be able to utilize this beautiful character in a movie to make people feel good. And I feel so good when I get to meet you guys and hear your stories. And I love hearing your stories. It's awesome.
It's really been special. These last few years, I didn't start doing Comic-Cons until 2015, I think. And I really never got to meet anybody. And I didn't understand the impact the movie had on people, because now you guys are grown up, and I'm meeting people who are 25 years old and can tell me how much this movie meant to them as kids, and it it really means a lot to us to hear that from you. So this has been a gift to us to come and be in front of you.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you.
Hey there. So I'm a current cast member over at Disney World, and I always kind of wondered, was it strange the first time you guys saw your characters roaming around the parks? Because like you have an idea from the concept art and your voice of what this character is going to be.
I always get excited when I see Jasmine anywhere. I can see her on a backpack, I can see her on a keychain, I can see her in the park. I'm always like, Jasmine!
I loved it. It was the premiere Beauty and the Beast in Florida. I got to see them. And I'm seeing some beautiful bells here. When all the bells stand and let me take your picture.
We have a bunch of bells.
Here we go. Bells right here.
Yay, that's amazing.
Smile. Thank you.
I just want you to know, I am 25 years old, and Jasmine really changed my life. She was my favorite princess. So I just wanted to let you know that before I even, ask my question. But my question is, what was your favorite scene to record? I know you probably heard it 1,000 times, but I always wanted to know.
No, this is a question that I've been asked before, and my answer changes sometimes. So sometimes I'm like, no, wait, but I loved recording that one. For sure, my favorite day of recording was the one with Robin Williams. So but I didn't have much to do in that scene, so I wouldn't say that was my favorite scene too.
You probably laughed a lot.
I laughed a lot. We were trying not to ruin the takes. We were like, oh my gosh, if we start laughing, it's gonna mess it up. We were like trying not to make any noise. But my favorite scene, I loved the marketplace scenes. They were so active and took so many turns. Those were probably my favorite scenes to record. But, the stuff with Jafar, I love the actor who plays Jafar, and he was just like having so much fun being wicked, and that was really fun for me to play off of. So, but I would say the marketplace scenes were the ones that I really had the most fun with.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, unfortunately, we are totally out of time. Yeah, I'm sorry. But you have some questions, but they're going to be here all weekend.
Yes.
So,
Come and see us.
And I'm sure they would love to have you.
You can come to our table.
Come to the table and ask your questions.
I think we're heading back to our tables now. Are we?
Right.
We're not. Can we take a 10-minute break and then we'll be back?
Yeah.
Is that right?
Something like that.
I thought
Yeah, that's perfect.
So,
Yeah, we are.
first question.
Come see us.
Come see them.
You guys have been wonderful.
So much. Thank you very